how to print. We're going to learn how to print today. So we're taking a break from, I guess, geometry creation. Breathe a sigh of relief. No geometry today. So I'm going to show you how to set up a drawing sheet, how to pull views onto the sheet, how to manipulate the view titles, how to make your views look nice so that when you put them on the sheet, they print and they look nice. And then we'll see how it goes. And we might talk about editing the title block today. Maybe we'll save that for next time. We'll get through this.
No way. They didn't come. They're missing out on everything useful.
Here, say that into the microphone. I'm just kidding.
Ends the rules.
That wasn't me. That was Paul. Paul E, not Paul W.
I was just gonna say, yeah, take that, Paul.
Okay. So I just want to remind you, which your models are all looking really good. I've started grading them, and I think they look really good. So it's good. I take that as a good sign. Let's talk about how to print. Okay. We've got our model here, right? Mine's not. Where's Jake was here too? Where Jake was here earlier. Now he's not here tonight. I'm starting to notice all the people who are gone. Oh, thank you.
It's going to be a lot of guesswork this week.
Let's see, top constraint. Let's change all of these to level 2. Yes, okay. All right, so we have our wonderful model in here, and you know, and this always happens. Your client stops in and they want you to print a few sheets, or you're printing a progress set for somebody, right? So let's talk about how to add a sheet. Okay, and do you guys understand when I say the term sheet as opposed to the term drawing? Does that make sense to everyone? Maybe, no? Yes, okay. So the term sheet is something that you print, and it has specific work on it that has to do with a specific item in the drawing set. So for example, you might have a drawing of a ceiling or a floor plan, right? But there are different types of floor plans. So you have the finished floor plan, you have the dimension floor plan, you have the regular general floor plan, you have the egress floor plan for code review, right? So you have one floor plan that you have a lot of different things that you need to use it to create, right? And so when I have my floor plan here, you know, this is, I guess, considered a drawing, right? Now, the drawing sort of acts like a template. You know, it shows the architectural floor plan, right? It shows the template that means we see the walls, the doors, the windows, right? All of the kind of confining things that have to do with architecture, okay? But there's not a whole lot else on here, all right? So a sheet, let me go to a sheet down here. And let me just say this, drawings are called things like, and this would be comparable to like XREFs in AutoCAD, right? Drawings are called things like main level, upper level, ceiling plan, section, you know, different things like that. Sheets are called things like A101, A102, A103, A104. And sheets show specific work on a specific drawing, okay? So for example, I have my main level, I just ruined the surprise there, right? I have my main level here. I pull the view on the drawing onto a sheet, and then this becomes, you know, for example, we'll call this the, you know, we'll get more into that today. Yes, general floor plan, right? And when this view is on this sheet, it is the general floor plan, and we only show items on that drawing that have to do with the general floor plan, right? So tags and room names and just general information, right? If I had pulled this on here and I had called it, instead of general floor plan, the dimension floor plan, maybe if I can type, dimension dimension floor plan, right? I would still show this architectural template, but instead of showing all maybe the room names and different things like that, I would show dimensions on the floor plan, okay? So we have the drawings and the views, which are going to be, you know, things like the reflected ceiling plan, the floor plan, things like that. And then we have the sheets that we place them on that show specific information about those drawings. It's the difference between the two. Okay, let me get rid of some of these things and we'll talk about them. All right, so in Revit, right, of course, we have a 3D model that we're generating. And when we look at, for example, the floor plan, we're viewing the model in floor plan view. And what that means is that you are cutting the floor plan, you know, maybe at a 3 to 4 foot height, And as you look down, whatever you see is the floor plan. Okay, so you're viewing the model at a 3 to 4 foot cut above, you know, the floor plan view. Okay, so we have our model. Down here, all of our views of our model are in our project browser. They're all contained up here, right? So we have the floor plans, we have the ceiling plans, the elevations, we have the sections, all that good stuff. Down here, we have a little section called sheets, okay? And I don't think by default you have any sheets created when you, no? Okay. So you don't have any sheets created when you open up Revit for the first time. So I'll just delete mine. So yours looks like that, okay? Have you created them? Oh, what template did you use when you started this? The architectural one?
You done messed up a
That's weird.
balake? Where's that? Silly ass name.
That guy was he was on one of the commercials on the Super Bowl.
Rocket Morgan's so awesome. He's great. We actually watched that clip last night in construction.
All right.
His voice is so exciting.
Okay, so all of our views are up here, right? And they're all organized. You can collapse the views or open them. And then down here we have our sheets, all right? To create a new sheet, you can click on Sheets All. You can right click and you can choose New Sheet, right? A sheet consists of, well, let me show you what a sheet consists of. We're going to pick this E1 30 by 42. Okay, this is a title block.
Are there normally other sizes on there?
You can load other sizes, so
Okay.
I'll go through that too. Yep. So we have one by default. We hit OK, and a sheet is created. So I can open up the Sheets area right there, right? It's as easy as that. For those of you that use AutoCAD, like this is so amazing, right?
Title block's already there.
In the right spot. I know, with all the information contained in it. It's magical. Mirza can't even stand it. He's back there like, what's happening, right? It is too easy. Something's wrong. It's too easy. Oh, you can have control. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right, so we have our sheet right here, and our sheet contains a title block, and then we'll put, you know, a sheet-specific view on here, okay? So title blocks are considered a family. They're an annotation family. We have door families, window families, you know, generic families, mechanical equipment families, and we have annotation families. And this is going to be an annotation family, okay? Right now, there are no views on this sheet, right? So it's 30 by 42 inches and it's blank essentially. What you see over here on the side of our sheet is called the information block. And this just basically is information that you fill in about the project, right? So it's going to tell you, you know, and we're going to edit this eventually, but you'll have your logo, right? Who's the designer of this or whatever, and who they are and where you can contact them. Who are all the consultants on this project? Were there any revisions, right, for the city or for whatever reason? Who's the owner? What's the project called? What is the name of the drawing? If there's a project number, an issue date, an author, who checked it, and then the sheet number. Yeah, okay. So we'll leave this, well, no, we'll talk about this now. We'll talk about this first, and then we'll go and we'll add some views to it, okay? So what's really nice about title blocks in Revit is that, you know, because they're a family, you can also build in relationships into these title blocks, all right? So we have parameters that we define within these title blocks. And for example, with the door, parameters or things that you establish are going to be things like the width of the door, the height of the door, the projection of the trim, right? Things specific to a door. But in a title block, parameters that we're going to define, they're called labels. And they have to do with project information, right? So it kind of makes sense, right? With the title block, you want to be able to customize the project information. With the door, you want to customize the height and the width, right? So whatever the object is, you can customize its specific properties. And what that means is that if I zoom in here, for example, I can build in within the family different parameters like the sheet number or the project name. And the way that these are accessed through this title block is by clicking on them. So if I click on that, I can type this and I could say, this is AE201, enter. And it changes, okay? Now what that is doing is that is establishing this drawing sheet as AE201. And that's an important topic, because now anything that I put on AE201 knows that it's on AE201. So when I reference it with details or callouts, it knows it's on AE201, it knows where it's placed, and if you move it, it correlates the detail, it changes it to correlate it, right? It's nice. It goes beyond, well, yes, you can do that.
No, this I can see it.
Yeah,
That thing is like
the sheet set manager,
yeah.
it's a gigantic animal.
You gotta spend a lot of time creating
Right.
a template so it works smoothly.
Right, and you hope it doesn't, yeah,
And you hope people didn't miss something.
right, yes, but yes, it is kind of the same idea, yes. So AutoCAD has a kind of a roundabout way of going about doing the same thing, but you have to highly customize AutoCAD to make it work, right? And this is just somewhat built into Revit. It's really easy to use. Okay, so I can also click here on project name, and we'll call this, you know, SLCC Technology Building. Enter. Or maybe we'll just call it Technology. There we go. And who's the owner? We'll put my name in here. There we go. And, you know, I don't think I can, oh, hold on. Oh, I'm letting the magic. You're seeing behind the curtain. Okay. I can change the project number to something like, you know, 2018. The issue date. Maybe we'll make it today, right? 2/07/2018. The author, the checker, right? And maybe if you want to add, no, the scale automatically generates. Okay. All right, so I've entered all this information, and what's really nice about this is that if I wanted to add another sheet, and I right click and I choose new sheet, and I choose a title block and I hit OK, it already, because those parameters are built into that title block, it already recognizes that information that is kind of generic to the entire project, right?
You still have to fill in the author and checker on that one?
Yes, and because sometimes they're different per sheet.
Yeah, okay.
Different people work on different things, right? So it's sheet specific. Cool. Yes. And the name of this, so this one could be something like, you know, elevations, right? And I go back over here, click, click, 201, and I zoom in here and I can call this floor plans. Okay. The title is also going to be sheet specific, right? Every sheet is not it's not called the exact same thing, okay? There's going to be some things in here that are not editable and that you're going to change in the family, and you're going to load this in, and it's going to be there not forever, but it's not editable through your Revit file, like your Revit project file, right? If you wanted to change, for example, the consultant information, you'd have to go into the actual family, change it or edit it, whatever, load this back in, and then you would have that information there, right? I like to go in and delete this because I don't feel like my clients need to know when I print. Whether it's 4 minutes before they arrive or at 2 in the morning the next, you know, I feel like it's invasive. So I remove the timestamp. Funny, but this is what a title block is. Okay. Now there's also a way. Sorry, I'm a keyboard person, so I tend to hold on one second. I'm trying to find.
Delete the time?
Huh?
How did you delete the time?
Well, oh, I haven't done it. You'd have to go into the actual family and do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to, see, I'm a keyboard person. I'm trying to find the new sheet button. I know it's in here somewhere. Right there. Oh, there, right there. Okay. So if you want to create a new sheet through the icons, you can go to View, and then you can go down to Sheet, and that will also create a new sheet. Okay. So just by using this title block, you know, there's one in there by default. We used it, great. But what if we needed another size, which is, this is not as common as others, right? Well, I'm going to click Load. And when I click Load, I'm brought to the Imperial Library, right, which is where we see furniture and cabinets and all that other good stuff, doors and windows. And all the way down here at the bottom, we have a title blocks option. Click, click. And we have all of kind of the basic sizes here. So I can click, let's do 22 by 34. I'm going to hit Open. And basically by hitting Open, that is now loaded into the project. So I can click on that one, I can hit OK, and now that title block is in here. Okay, so it doesn't change this title block, right? And yeah, you could, yes. So if I wanted to change this one, I click on it and the properties tell me it's a 30 by 42. I can drop down, change it to 22 by 34. Yes. But you can have more than one size of title block live in Revit, right? Is maybe my point. So 22 by, or 30 by 42 is kind of a big title block. I'm going to change all of these to smaller. And you have to pay attention to the sizes because this is actually, it's not super common, but on student projects, a lot of times I think you just don't pay attention to the size of title block, like, you know, and so you go to make a new sheet and you just put that default 30 by 42 and it's great, but maybe the assignment says 24 by 36 and you lay your nice sheets out with the scales all appropriate for a big piece of paper and then you need to put them on a smaller piece of paper. There's a lot of rearranging you have to do, right? So just pay attention to whatever size it is. Yep. Yes. Yep. And we'll get to that. Yep. Yes, you can customize this. You can highly customize this actually, and it's fairly easy to customize. Okay. So we have just created our sheets here, and I'm going to give this 203. We'll give this a new name. We'll call this section. Okay. All right. So click, click. I'm on 201. Click, click. I'm on 202. Click, click. I'm on 203. Right. Let's create one more. We'll create a floor plan view. Right click, new sheet. And we'll call this one AE 10101. And we'll call this one floor plan. Right, so just like that, I'm creating all these sheets. And again, what is really, really great about Revit is they're all self-contained, right? They're in this one file. So I don't have to, you know, browse out and open multiple AutoCAD files to do things, which is, you know, it's a lot of work. So how do we use these sheets, right? How do we put drawings on them? How do we add view titles? Can we add text to them? You know, what kind of things can we do on these? I think probably the first thing we'll do here is we'll add some drawings to it, right? This is AE 101. It's a floor plan. Let's add a floor plan to it, okay? So I'm going to come over here actually to floor plan. And before I put this floor plan on that sheet, I want to make sure that visually it looks the way I want it to, right? So if this is a finished floor plan, I want to make sure my finishes are visible, right? All that good stuff. If this is a general floor plan, I want, you know, those things that are appropriate to show on it. We really only have 1 or 2 floor plans right now. I'll show you how to, probably not today, but maybe next time we meet, I'll show you how to make multiple copies of things. No, we might talk about it today actually. Now that I think about it, we probably will have to, you know, broach the topic. So I think we'll bring up the idea of being able to copy floor plans and give them new names and show different information on the same floor plans. But what you need to do before you put it on a sheet is make it look right? So, you know, everything, you know, looks, we're not going to do too much. Maybe I'll delete this. But everything looks pretty good. Maybe I don't want these elevation markers showing, or maybe I want to grab them and move them in a little bit so that they're a little more cozy. Right, we want this to fit on our sheet pretty nicely. I'm just nudging them, I'm grabbing them and I'm nudging them with my arrow keys. Right, there we go, nudge it in. I could also use the move command if I wanted to. Okay, I also, you know, at times I like to turn on my crop region, so show crop region. And I just like to make the crop region, again, kind of snug to the drawing, right? So it's only showing what I want it to show. And if there are other things out here, they're not, you know, you don't see them. Another reason I like to have my crop region fairly close to my drawing is that it somewhat defines the extent of this drawing. And if I bring it onto a sheet, that the extent is somewhat shown, which I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to turn off these outer boundaries, the crop region again, come down here, hide crop region, looks good. Well, oh, one thing I forgot to put on here, change, was maybe the scale. Maybe it needs to be a 1/2 inch. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll stick with 1/4, right? See how it looks. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm ready to put this on a sheet. I'm going to go to my AE 101, click, click. And I'm going to grab that main level. I'm going to click on it and hold my mouse button I'm going to drag it over to my sheet. Get ready, people. See that? See how I'm hovering? So I let go of my mouse button, but I haven't clicked yet.
Oh,
To place it, I'm going to click. And that's it.
crap.
Exactly. I think holy crap is a pretty good explanation for that, right?
Wow.
It's just not this easy with AutoCAD, right? I mean, it's not bad with AutoCAD, but there's just a lot more that goes into it. Okay, so now that drawing is living on AE 101. Okay, I'm going to click on it. And when I said that viewport somewhat defines an edge or a boundary around that, right? I'm not seeing the crop region, but when I click on it, do you notice that I do somewhat get a sense of where that crop region is, right? So if it were really large and off the sheet, then it would look okay, it would function just fine, but that would be very much off the sheet and cause other issues. Okay, so what's really great about this? Oh, I have the name of the drawing, I have the scale of the drawing, and I have a designation, right? So, isn't that nice? Paul's loving it over here, right? I know, I was thinking that exact same thing. Okay, so we don't have to make the view title, we don't have to line it, or no, we do have to line it up, but we don't have to insert it and do attributes and make sure that it's all working together, right? If I want to change this, I can click on it again, oops. I think I'm in the viewport. No. Interesting. That's weird. Why is... Hold on. Let me move this a little bit. Maybe that's... There we go. Okay. I could, if I wanted to make changes, I could, instead of calling this main level, I could call this main floor plan, hit enter. Would you like to rename your corresponding views? Yes.
How did you resize it to fit the whole page?
So when I was in my view, my main floor plan view, I turned on my crop region.
Yeah.
Let's turn that on. And I just moved these in as close as I could get them. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, I've got mine moved in pretty close, but when I go to pull it to the sheet, it's coming on really small.
Your sheet, oh, the drawing is really small?
Yeah.
It's probably because the scale is 1/8 inch. Is it? Yep. So if my scale, if I change the scale of this 1/4 inch, I change it to 1/8 inch, right?
Would be it.
And I go back to my sheet to look how much smaller it is. Click.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting, so.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you change it in your main level, it'll also change it in your AE to 101.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's nice, right? I know, I said get ready, right? Okay.
It won't let me change my name on here, though.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Oh, cool.
So I've got my floor plan here, okay, and I also have a view title under it. And the view title is a tiny bit finicky in how you select it, how you resize it, okay? So up here, if I click on my viewport, and this does function like an AutoCAD viewport, meaning right now I'm on my sheet and I placed a view on it, but if I want to re-engage that drawing, I can engage it from this sheet if I engage the viewport, right? And what that means is that if I double click in this viewport area, see how it highlights darker? Click, click. Now I'm in my drawing, right? So I could grab this section, I could move it a tiny bit, I could grab this marker because it wasn't quite in the right spot, right? Move it back. I could come down here and change the scale from 1/8 to 3/16, right? And then I could say, well, that's a little bit too far away now, right? So this is the same kind of workflow as model space, paper space, right? You can engage the viewport in paper space to change your drawings in model space.
Wow.
When I'm done changing things, I double click out in nowhere land, click, click, and I disengage, okay? Now the problem with having a gigantic viewport that extends way far beyond this is that when I want to disengage my viewport, it's hard to find a click, click that's outside of that area, right? So that's kind of why I keep it nice and tidy on the sheet, okay? I can click on this and I can move it, right? I can MV, I can drag it if I want to, get it right in place, okay? But that is my viewport. I click on it, I can move it, I double click, click, I engage it, I click, click, I disengage, okay? If I click, click, and engage, and then I want to disengage again, I can also right click and choose deactivate view, right? So there's a couple ways I can activate or deactivate this. Okay, So now if I want to change the view title, this is called a view title down here. If I just, without touching the viewport, if I click on that line, I'm able to move this viewport around. And you'll notice that it starts to want to snap and line up with other things, okay? But if I double click on that, I engage the viewport. So, you know, if I click once and I can hold and drag and move, okay. If I want to make this line shorter and make it a little bit more appropriate for this drawing, or I want to rename it, you know, the drawing like I did from here, I would first have to click on the viewport one time. And do you notice now this grip over here pops up? I can click and drag it in, right? Or and I can zoom in here. While that is just clicked on once, I can click on this main level, enter, yes, and it changes that main level back to main level.
How are you getting the crop line to disappear and reappear, right? Like, what in the world?
I'm just selecting the viewport, and the viewport is indicating the crop region as its extent. Click escape. Okay, so I click one time. I can drag by holding my mouse button down and moving this. I can nudge it with my arrow keys.
I can't get mine to disappear.
Get your crop region to disappear?
The line, yeah,
Okay.
my box is just staying.
So what's probably happening is it's turned on in your view, right? Okay. Okay. So we have our view title down here. We have our drawing here, right? It all looks nice and clean and wonderful. I can also, if I need to, I can click on that viewport, right? Look at my properties. Look at my properties tool palette here. Hit edit type. And I am allowed to turn it off. If I edit this viewport, it edits that type. And so if it's on any other sheet, it will edit that type. So if you, for example, don't want a viewport on something, I would hit duplicate. I would call this no viewport. And where it says title, we're going to just choose none. Show extension line, none. Or uncheck it. No. So basically, no, no, none, right? Uncheck, hit OK, and that goes away. And this is a viewport specific item. So if I click on the viewport, I drop down to viewport 1, the title comes back, no viewport, click on it, it goes away. Okay. Let's do this on another sheet. I'm going to click on AE201, click. AE, the 200 series is usually for elevations, the 100 series is for floor plans, okay? So I have AE201, we'll call this, you know, exterior elevations. Great. I come over here, you know, I have a sheet ready, but again, first I like to look at my elevation before I place it on a view, okay? And let me just say this, the way that you view your objects on your screen is really how they're going to print, right? So if I have my floor plan turned on and I had, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Click. If I had wanted to, you know, view this in a shaded view to draft to make it easier for me to look at things, right? And then I come out and I place it on a sheet and it's in shaded view, it will print in shaded view, all right? So just know that if things are, you know, shaded or in color on your screen, they will print that way. So you'll have to go back to your view, click, and come down here and change this to hidden line, right? So really if you visually see anything or you want to alter any of your tags or do anything like that, you have to do it in the view and then it will update on the sheet. Okay. So I'm going to come over here to one of my elevations. Let's go to the north elevation. Click. Okay, here's my beautiful north elevation. And it actually looks pretty good. I'm going to check the scale, 1/4 inch. We had the other one, we'll make it a weird scale. 3/16, I think. Okay. There you go, looks good. The crop region is turned off, although I somewhat like to look at it and just make sure that it's kind of cozied up with my model so it's not too big on my screen, my sheet, right? And then I'm going to turn my crop region off. Okay, so that one looks pretty good. I'm I'm going to come over here to my sheet AE201 exterior elevation. I'm going to click on my north, hold, drag it over, let go, and we will click to place it. So nice, right? So nice. Okay, let's do the east elevation. Click, click. Got a little cantilever there. I didn't realize that. We'll leave it alone for now. We'll change the scale. Okay. I'm okay with having that section there. We'll just leave it.
What happens if you bring two drawings onto the same sheet that have different scales?
It's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah. That is one nice thing about Revit. And the idea of a layout on a sheet is that you can have multiple things with different scales and it works just fine. What really drives the scale is the drawing itself, right? So if all the drawings have different scales, they're fine. They're all separate. They're not one piece, right? So I can grab my east, drag it over, let go. And this is where the lining up usually, oh, it wants to line up with my view title. I was thinking we might be able to get a midpoint, but it's not looking like it wants to do that. Okay, so I line it up and I click. Okay. I want all my little datums to line up, so I'm gonna bring that bad boy right there. Okay. So I can click on that, I can move it up and down, do whatever I want to do, click once. But if I want to make it longer or shorter, right, or change the name of it, I'm going to click on the viewport one time, right, drag this out. I think did you just recognize what this did by placing it on a sheet? I'll show you the magic that's happening. Okay, so those are nice and lined up. They're on our sheet, right, exterior elevations. We have a scale start showing up. It says 3/16, right? If these were different scales, it would probably have a dash or something, or say not applicable because it has multiple scales on it, something like that. Well, in fact, let's look. So if this one is this, as indicated, yeah. Okay. All right, so we have these two elevations on the sheet, right? What does that mean? It means that they are an AE201, and it means that this is number 1 north, and this is number 2 east, okay? And what's really great about this, and what I keep saying is Revit's strength, is its coordination, right? So when I go back to my main level, click, click, look what's happening, right? Now, because that view has been assigned to a sheet, Revit now knows that this marker should say, hey, this elevation is located on AE201. So nice. And these two are blank because I haven't placed them on a sheet yet. Okay, this one too, AE201. This is the best. This is the magic of Revit right here, very literally, right? The coordination is so nice. Okay. It will. So if I want to go here, click, click, it brings me right there. Okay. All right, so here is one thing. Once I have a view on a sheet, I can't take that exact same view and place it on another sheet, right? Because every view has a specific place or a location in Revit. So I can't take, I know, right? He's that's it. So if I wanted to, for example, take this exact same view and, you know, put the same thing on AE201, that's the east elevation, I grab it and I let go and it says, hey, this is already on a sheet, which means it has a location and a sheet designation. You can't place it on here because then it would have 2 sheets and 2 designations assigned to it, okay? So then we'll talk about how to kind of be able to deal with that in a little bit. But so that is one kind of, thing that you're gonna see happening. AE202, I'll just drag the rest of the elevations. We'll go south and west on here. Oh, again, I like to look at these and that's somewhat overlapping, which I don't like, so I pull it out a tiny bit. I click on that bottom of footing and I hit that little elbow click. Looks pretty good, right? So now I can change the scale to, where is that? What was I doing? 3/16.
Sure glad I didn't stay home from class today.
They're missing out on the awesome stuff today. All right, so we have this one, and we'll go to west, right? I'm just going to come here and fix all these things first and then place them on sheets. you know, the drawings are no good if they're not readable, right? So again, it's important to make sure your drawings are nice and neat and readable and things aren't overlapping other things and that it all makes sense, right? Okay, now I go into 202 and I have my south. Oh, I clicked once too much. Click and hold, drag, let go, south. I have my west, click and drag. And again, I just like to make sure my annotation is somewhat lined up, right? So it looks nice and neat on the page, it makes sense. I could click on this view title and nudge it down, click, 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 right? I could click on the viewport one time, which would allow me to change the length of this, or come over here and say, you know, south elevation. Okay. I can grab this one, drag it over till it lines up. There we go. Click on the viewport. I can drag that tail out. We'll call this west elevation. Okay. And again, if I need to access these, I can click, click. And maybe I want to move that over a little. Click, click, you know, nudge, nudge. And then I right click and I deactivate view. Click, click. Maybe I want to make this a shaded view just to see what all the finishes are doing. Yeah, looks good. HL, right click, deactivate. Pretty nice, right? Okay, so now when I go back to my main level view, all of those tags have been updated. 1, 2, 1, 2 on AU 201 and 202. This is an interior elevation, and I haven't put that on a sheet yet, so it doesn't have a designation marked with it yet. Okay. Any questions on any of this so far?
Just on the, when you're clicking on that and changing the name,
Yes.
like east, and how do you select that again?
Right. So that's the finicky part, right? So
Yeah.
if I just want to move it, I just click on that line.
Yeah.
Escape, escape. If I want to change the name or change the length of the line, I click on the viewport one time, and then I can go in and click on that. Isn't it nice?
I'm moving that line all over the place, but I'm not renaming.
Yeah. It's a weird little finicky part about it. All right, so other things that, and we are not going to get into this just yet, but eventually when you start working professionally, you'll see that legends are created and schedules are created for these kind of, for sheets and stuff, right? And you put legends and schedules on sheets that then, you know, show information. What's nice about legends is that we can create like a general notes legend up here that has general notes on it, and I throw it on every sheet, and every sheet has the same general notes. I can do a keynote schedule, so if I add keynotes, you know, annotation to annotation that is descriptive to my elevations or whatever drawing, right? That the keynote schedule will reflect all of that. So it actually, the system just works out really well, honestly. All right, so coming back to the idea that you can only place your view on one sheet, right? How do we get around that? Because there's going to be, you know, the floor plan is going to be used for multiple things, right? So how do we, if we can only place the floor plan view on one sheet, how do we then put it on all these other sheets that it needs, that are required? And the answer is we can copy these views, okay? So I can come up here to under my project browser, and I can click on whatever view I want to create a copy of. I can right click and I can choose duplicate view. Now we have a couple of different duplicates. We have duplicate and duplicate with detailing, and duplicate is a dependent, right? So duplicate just copies the basic architectural template. So walls, doors, windows. It doesn't take with it dimensions or annotation or anything else you've added like that, okay? Duplicate with detailing brings annotation and details and lines and text and any annotation room tags that you've created on that floor plan or view. It brings all of it with it. And duplicate as a dependent makes it so that it is kind of like, it's like a parent-child relationship, right? So you create this view, and underneath it you have a secondary view that's attached to it. So if you change one, it changes the other, okay? So I usually, when I duplicate these, I duplicate with detailing. That's kind of my, you know, I don't mess around with the other two very much.
Really?
Yeah. What's that?
It's easier to take the stuff out than it is to put it in.
Yeah, it just makes it easier. Again, I think I said this when I start. Some of the stuff I think it's a little bit over the top, like over constrained, the over automation. So I think this is a good way of doing it. You guys can do different if you'd like, but what I like about this is that, if I've chosen a main level, usually I have dimensions or room names or, basic annotation, and I always copy the same one and I get the same basic information, then I add on to it, right? So now that I have a copy of it, I can right click and I can choose rename. So this could be main level finished floor plan, right? And in here, I could click on that and I could hide and view that. I could right click and select all instances visible in view and delete those or hide them. I could, and you don't know how to do this yet, but I'm just showing things that you can do. I could add lines, right? There's maybe a pattern on the floor. Isn't that nice?
So when you hide the window attribute, will it still show up on your Mac?
Mhm.
Your sheet?
Yeah, because it's view specific. Yep, it's all the stuff we're doing is view specific. So, and this is the finished floor plan, so we want to show the floor lines, right? So there are floor lines or whatever we need to do. So now if I want to place that on a sheet, let's do this. We'll change this one from section to finished floor plan. We'll renumber it, AE102, right? Now I can grab my finished floor plan, click and drag, bring it over, and it copied the scale of it, it copied the crop region, it copied everything about it, right? But I was able to change the, view some visual settings on it to make it look differently and display different information that I needed for this floor plan, right? So now I have all these sheets, right? I have my floor plan, I have my finished floor plan, right? I have my exterior elevations, I have my elevation, my other exterior elevation, right? And you can add any view up here that you create to a sheet, essentially, okay? Any questions so far? Yep.
I have a question. So say
Yep.
you wanted to rotate one of your drawings like 90 degrees.
Right.
How would you do that?
Yes. So let me give you some general advice in Revit. When you start drawing your floor plan or whatever, draw it the orientation you want it to be, because it is very difficult after the fact to take an entire model and all of the annotation, all the dimensions, and the site where everything involved with the model. It's very hard to take it and kind of rotate it, right? So best advice, number one, just draw it the way you want it. But if you have something on a sheet and you want to maybe rotate it, maybe this is 90 degrees. There's a limited capability of Revit to, when I click on the viewport, I can, I was looking for that the other day. That's where it is. Let's see. Good question. There's usually something here that's, there it is. It's like it's here. You can rotate on sheet like 90 degrees clockwise, and it rotates it. So the elevation's a bad example, but every now and again with the floor plan, you're like, it's just not the orientation I want it to be, right? So you click on it, and you have you can basically rotate it one way or the other.
Spin it in circles one way or the other.
Right, that's exactly it. So there's not even just a whole lot of control with that, right? So I can change it clockwise and do that, right?
Could be all we need.
But the weird thing about it is that even though you rotate it, the view title rotates. So you can't even kind of cheat this and say, oh, okay, well, I'll just hurry and rotate it on the sheet for today and we'll deal with it later, right? Because now you don't have a view title and you have to kind of find a way to fake in the view title so you have a title on your sheet, essentially. So I very rarely use this just because it just doesn't work very well, really. Let the Revit do what it does best.
Drink that Kool-Aid.
It's so funny. Some people are very hesitant. All right. Any more questions about title blocks or putting views on sheets?
I didn't catch what, when you copy the view,
Oh, okay. So the dependent, right? So if I right click and I go to duplicate view as a dependent, right? It essentially is, it's a parent-child relationship here. If I change one, it changes the other. Yeah, it creates one that, what is that called? Like I don't even know what like a tree view, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so we have, so that it makes changes easier, so that they still have a relationship between each other, because when you take a view and you duplicate it, you essentially, like, you're using the architectural template, but you're breaking all other relationships with that initial view. And sometimes you may want to keep a relationship with it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you just do like make a copy and add stuff to it. It's not gonna transfer.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay. So let's talk about printing, right? It's the big question now. How do we print these things? Do you guys know that we have a large format plotter over there? A plotter? We have a large scale plotter. We have an OSE plotter. No? Okay, well we do. You guys haven't seen it? Let's go over and take a look. Come on. Yes, it's down. I can see them.
My elevations were a mess.
I had all my lines, none of them lined up. Some of them were shooting out like 50 feet past the house. Yeah, I had not paid attention to my elevations at all.
of those people that were not here.
That
We just
was
went into
so
the
cool.
we went into the print room.
Totally missed
Does
it.
it recognize, like, if you want to print, you created sheets that are PDFs that are 11 by 17?
Right.
Does it, like,
Yeah, it recognizes that the sheet is 11 by 17.
and then you can change it to
See,
whatever.
we should have had to walk in and go, and that's how I stole the Declaration.
In my office, you don't have to, usually shop runners, they never even
No.
print them.
Right.
I have to create
Something
sheets
completely
in the
unrelated.
creation of
Uh-huh.
Because probably that.
Oh my God, my
a lot of
elevations look
companies
so good
have
now.
color printers
Right, right.
on it, so.
Yeah, so you don't ever
Holy
have to
cow,
do it.
that's
Yeah. No.
37 windows open and I hit wall tile. It's awesome.
Oh, it's all. All right, so the way that I did that, right, I'm on a sheet. You can print, if you needed to, you could just print from a view, like if you just want to print this, you know, without a title block. But generally the way that you're going to be doing this is you're going to be printing from a sheet view, right? So when I go to print, I can, we'll talk about printing. Control P. And here's one pain in the neck from Revit to AutoCAD, or Revit to AutoCAD, yeah. AutoCAD has a built-in PDF creator that is not Adobe, because with Adobe, if you don't own the software, when you go home, you don't have the PDF creator available to you, right, unless you pay for the software. So Revit has a built-in PDF generator, right? AutoCAD. Revit does not have this Adobe PDF option if you are at home because it's paid software. It does have this Microsoft Print to PDF. Let's just see what it does. I don't know how high quality they are. I feel like we had trouble with it, but maybe it'll work.
Same like in AutoCAD. It's way better when you do Adobe.
It is, yeah, it is. You don't have any trouble. Yeah, see,
Goes like that.
yeah, and see, it didn't even do anything. So that is the one quirk about Revit. So if you are going to print something and you want to create a PDF, you're going to have to do it here. You're going to have to buy the software. But student version, the software for Adobe is like 25 bucks a month or 20 bucks a month, and you can get it all if it's worth it to you to create PDFs. Or you could okay, this might be one good use for all. Oh no, never mind. I'm not going to say that because I was going to say one good use for all access, but you can't use all access. You can't use Adobe on all access remotely. They don't allow it. So never mind. So either you're gonna have to buy the software or you're gonna have to print here so that you can get the PDF version of it, but you won't have it available to you at home if you don't have Acrobat. So, but if you do have it, great. We'll talk about how to print from Adobe, right? This is a lot like AutoCAD. I choose Adobe PDF. And I don't have, like AutoCAD has pen files and different things you have to use to print. These are all inherent in Revit, so we don't have any more of that. Nice, right? So I have my Adobe PDF. With Adobe PDF, you can choose to print your files, your sheets singly, you know, all separate PDFs are combined into one PDF. So combine multiple selected views into a single file. You're going to tell AutoCAD or Revit where to save your PDF because we're generating a PDF right now, which is a digital printed file, right? It's a digital copy. So I'm going to choose just maybe my desktop. I'm going to hit browse.
You have to name it first.
No, that's weird.
Maybe current Windows something.
No, there's something weird going on. So usually you click on this and it will ask you, hey, where would you like to save these? But we have another option. So we'll just choose that. And now we need to choose what we're going to print. Do I just want to print this current window? Do I want to print the visible portion of this window if it were, you know, zoomed in? Or do I want to pick some views or sheets? So I want to pick some views and sheets because I have 4 of them I want to print. So I'm going to hit select. What is going on? Hold on, let me just see. I wonder if that Microsoft PDF is bounded up somehow. Hold on, I'm going to restart my Revit. Okay. Nope, there's nothing there. Okay, let's see. Okay, Control P, Adobe PDF. It's not going to do it. Oh, I know why. I know why. My drives are not mapped. That's my last troubleshooting option, and if not, we'll have to save the rest on Monday. I know. We're gonna I have a couple other things I want to talk about with regard to this topic, so like half today, half Monday anyway, so. All right. Yours works okay? Okay. So I'll just talk you through it if mine is not working. It's not going to work. All right, so, but I would choose combine multiple files into one sheet. I'd choose a name for it, hit browse, and say where I want to save it. I'd click on select here. When it select views or sheets, I'd click select, and it brings up a dialog box. And at the bottom of the dialog box, you can uncheck views, and it will just show the sheets that are available to print. Can you guys see that? Where it says views, uncheck views, and it has the few sheets. You click on all those sheets to select them, and then you hit OK. And when it says, would you like to save this for future use, just say no. And now what we're going to do is set up the print. So I click on setup. Oh boy. That's not available either. So I'm going to look at Paul's over here. Okay, so when I click on setup, okay, the paper size is the first thing you're going to choose. It'll be, 24 by 36. And then arch size D, 24 by 36. And then where it says paper placement, always choose center. And then down below that it says zoom. You want to zoom, click on zoom, 100% of the size. So you don't want to scale it down or up just to fit the page. You want it to be 100% of its original size. And that is it. You hit OK. Oh wait, go back into setup. Sorry, go back into setup. You see when we click on zoom 100% of the size, up above that, the center toggles off. So we'll click on center again and hit OK. No to save it. And then this toggles back. In the print dialog box, these toggle kind of odd. Okay, then you hit OK. Views or sheets are selected. Oh, did you not choose select? And uncheck views. And there are your sheets. There you go. And hit OK. No. And then hit OK again. Hit close. And then it will create all of your PDFs. So a dialog box will pop up and say, where would you like to save your PDF? And you just browse to wherever you want to save it and hit save, right? And then if you wanted to print it, like from the OSE, okay, whether it's a PDF or straight from Autodesk, I'm going to do Control P. I'm going to choose, this is the OSE plot wave. Redwood CAD Lab OSE plot wave 500. Okay, really all of the settings will be the same. I'm just going to hit OK here. Current window, I'm going to hit OK. And here's the catch to the OSE. In about 10 seconds, another window is going to pop up and say, what size, what orientation would you like in size? And so by that point you think, okay, it's already printed. You walk back to the print room, right? Nothing pops out. And you come back and on your screen, here it is, right? So I have this and I would say, I don't know what I printed, but usually it pops up with the right size. So I must have chosen, oh, I know what it is. I have my letter size. So if I do 24 by 36, we'll wait for the plot wave dialog box to pop back up. They literally just have it enough time that you get impatient and walk out of the room, to then have to walk back, to hit go, to walk back out. When you guys were all over there, I was like, okay, I know it's coming. I swear it's coming here. There it is. So this is gonna, the paper that we have is 36-inch wide, and so it's gonna print these in 24-inch lengths, right? And then you just hit OK, and it would print out of the OSE, essentially. You could print from a PDF if you needed to. So if I had a PDF. This is from a different project, right? But if I had, no, here's my OSE plot wave, right? And I want this to be, this is from a PDF. Gosh, all my stuff is kind of like sticking today. Well, I don't know what it is. Something's up. Hold on, I have to text. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, you know, I wouldn't let me change my page size, but here we do page in application, or choose whatever page size I want. And I could set the settings in the OSE plot wave box here, right? I'm not going to print that one, but you can print from PDF as well. Okay. So that's printing. You set up your sheets, you make your views nice and neat, you place your views on your sheets, you line them up, and then when you're ready to print, you print, right? Whether to a PDF or to a physical piece of paper. We also have these printers over here, right? These are the 404, there's a one in 404A. What are our room numbers? Did you know the room numbers in this building are changing? Yeah. Because the main level is level 2 and it confuses a lot of people, so they're changing it to level 1.
So what's the basement?
0. And then it's gonna be level 1, 2. We'll be on level 3. This is level 3 in like 2 months, and then level 4 up above.
Well, it's that way in the construction trades building, so.
Yeah, it's a. I feel like it at least makes sense, though. Anyway, so they're all gonna be changing. But 404A is the one over in Kevin's lab. We're in 406B, and so that little plotter over there, the printer will print letter size and 11 by 17. So if you want to print those sizes, then you can just do that in here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to call this the first half of this lecture, and we're going to actually print next time. And next time, what we're going to talk about is, so we've talked about creating views, and we've talked about how to print. I want to talk about how to create other types of views and place other types of views on sheets. So things like enlarged floor plans and details and sections and other types of elevations. We'll talk about how to generate all those other views and how to put those on sheets. And then you'll have an assignment to create an actual print, like physical prints. Does that sound good? Yes.
Are we able to print 3D views?
Yeah, you can print 3D views. Yeah, so, yeah, and we'll talk about that next time too, but just for tonight. So whenever you flip into 3D, like right here, I click on 3D, something is happening on my computer. Okay, right? What's that? It's hacked? It could be. Somebody's watching me. Somebody's, I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that. So if I have a 3D view here, I can come over to my 3D views. I can right click, or over here I can right click, and I can choose duplicate with detailing again. I get a copy, and that copy, that's a view. It's a view like a floor plan or an elevation, okay? And so those are no different with regards to placing them on sheets. I can right click, new sheet, okay? And I can take that 3D, right? And this would be ideal for like a cover sheet, right? Click and place that on there. That was the other thing I was like, there was one more thing I want to talk about on Monday. We're going to talk about how to edit this title block and make it a little bit more custom looking. But I could double click on that, click, click. I could change the scale from an 1/8 to a 1/4. Click, click, click on it, right?
I think a lot of offices are really lazy with that. They just use these original, and we can tell, okay, this is in Revit.
Yep, totally,
Send me
totally.
the model. We don't have it. It's in Revit.
Like,
No, it's not.
I know you have it. It's too funny. Yeah, this is very stock Autodesk, like Revit type stuff, right? So when you see this, this is kind of telltale that it did come from Revit. So I'm going to show you how to manipulate this so that it looks a little bit more custom. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.